Hello, my name is Addison. I'm going to do something I don't exactly do too often. I'm going to review a product, and that product is the Seaskin Neoprene Drysuit. So, Seaskin is a drysuit company in the UK, and within reason, from what I've seen, they are some of the best value drysuits you can get in the world. Short of the sweatshops in China, and your results will probably vary there. So let's get into it. I ordered this guy, and there's one of the things they tout comparatively to, say, Scuba Pro or some of the bigger brands you'll get out there. One of the things they tout is pretty much complete customization of your drysuit. You send them dozens and dozens of measurements of your own body. That way they can custom fit it to you, and that's what you get. The price is pretty damn near the most competitive thing I've seen as far as drysuits go. This drysuit that I got ended up being, I think, $1,050-ish, plus or minus $10. I got this shipped to the US, so in pounds that was, I'm going to look to the side here because that's my monitor, 770-ish pounds. One of the biggest negatives with this suit, as far as the ordering process goes, for me, was the waiting. Being a very competitively priced wetsuit or dry suit that is custom made and has lots and lots of various options, there seems to be a huge backlog in orders, or logistics issues with materials or something. I don't know it yet, but it took me all of 7.5 months to get this dry suit. From the minute I ordered the order button with all the options, it took me 7 months before it hit my doorstep. From what I can figure, it can take anywhere between 2 and 4-ish weeks of actual time that they're making the suit. Meaning, from what I understand, they start actually physically making the suit out of materials 4-ish weeks before the actual order gets shipped. So your mileage may vary, depends whether they can scale well, depends whether more people order from it. I don't know, just understand that wait time is, in my opinion, the worst part of the experience so far with this dry suit. I've dove in this thing 2 times since I got it. I got it about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm making this video because I haven't seen any good videos on a Seaskin dry suit that actually shows the physical product and goes over the different features. There's plenty of pictures and explanations on the Seaskin website. I'm not saying they don't do it justice, but there's an added comfort having a customer look at something, tell you about it, so on and so forth. So, with that, let's proceed. So, one of the first things you might notice is I got this nice little packet, or this nice little duffel bag looking thing for the Seaskin. This is a changing mat combo, which is an added feature. I forget how many, I think it's like 20 or 30 quid extra. So again, I got a lot of the bells and whistles for this guy since it's such a competitive price. So I'm just going to open it up. So you have something like this, open it up, it becomes this triangle-ish sort of mass, and you can unzip it. And inside is the dry suit. I'm going to pour this out temporarily, 1 second, and show you the changing mat. So this changing mat becomes one big hexagon. You put that down and presumably you change with it. There's an option, I didn't choose this option for this mat, but there's an option you could put a customized tag on it. You'll see. I'll show you, because it is on the dry suit itself if you get that feature. So this is the dry suit. Like I said, most of the bells and whistles I'll try to show you one at a time. This is the patch I mentioned. You can get that on the actual carrying case, whether or not you go with the combo changing mat. When I got this dry suit, it was zipped and closed. I personally haven't decided what the best way to actually store a dry suit is. So if you guys know or have any suggestions whether you should store it with the zipper open or closed, let me know. but since I got it closed, presumably that's the safest way to store it. So I'll keep doing that until I'm told otherwise. You might notice this zipper that I got is massive. I got the oversized brass zipper, kind of sort of as an experiment. I was told by some people at some local dive shops here in Cave Country that brass zippers are much more resilient against sand and silt that you'll find in Florida caves. So depending on where you're diving, you probably want to go with plastic zippers, but I'm just letting you know that I got the oversized brass zipper here, and that's why it is seriously large. In hindsight, I probably wouldn't have gone with the oversized brass zipper because it is an absolute. It takes a lot of effort to open and close it. So yeah, maybe not go with that. I'm kind of the guinea pig here, and I've got kind of a wager to go on how long this lasts compared to one of my buddy's plastic zippers. So we'll see how that goes. Just to show you the difference, I mentioned cheap Chinese dry suits earlier. This is the size of the standard brass zipper. Heck of a lot easier to close and open. But, you know, hindsight's 2020. We'll see a few years from now whether I need to replace it. It comes with this little. Oh, I think this is actually an actual feature. Yeah. So another add-on feature is this little neoprene flap. Comes with what do they call it? Hook and something or other. That costs a few quid. Again, a lot of these features only cost between like $3 and $20. So it's really hard for me to say, no, I don't want a zipper kind of sort of protecting this. One of the things, if Seaskin, if you're listening to this, one of the things that I would appreciate and probably choose as an option, I'm not sure how it is practically speaking, but a little zipper that covers this zipper. Because if I had a little plastic zipper that covers this zipper entirely and prevents a lot of silt and stuff from coming out, I would probably have gone with the plastic zipper on the inside. I've seen that in a lot of other suits, and with Seaskin, I don't think it's an option. So, moving forward, I'm going to open this guy up. Wow. This thing is actually, like I mentioned, it's tough. Don't go with the big zipper. Again, that was an experiment. We will see. But I'm guessing, I'm really curious how long this will last comparatively to a normal size zipper. On the inside, you have, I think this is uncompressed neoprene as a cover. It shouldn't really matter as far as whether it's compressed or not, but just thought somebody might want to know. This is, I think, 2mm compressed neoprene in my dives compared to Chinese uncompressed dry suit. So much nicer. It doesn't compress nearly as much. You might notice these little shoulder pads. This is a little bit of polyethylene that they, I assume they iron on, and that's a few extra bucks or a few extra quid or whatnot. And I would strongly suggest this. I haven't felt any major decrease in mobility with my arms and my shoulders, but the way I've got it set up, and if you've got one or two or how many tanks hanging off of this when you're coming out of the water for whatever reason, yeah, you probably want to keep this a little bit more abrasive resistant if you want this to last a long time. The patch here seems to be of really good quality, and I don't think I'm going to be able to rip this off easily. It's pretty tough. I went with the silicone seals and the quick replaceable neck ring system. They have two. One of them is geared more towards kayakers, and it has these little U-shaped pieces on the inside. This is not that. I did not want to deal with a dozen or 2 dozen little U-shaped pieces that I feel like I would probably lose. So, as far as this goes, this fits very comfortably, works very well. One thing to note is that when I got this, one side of the internal ring, if you can see right here, one side of this internal ring was out. So before you dive your Drysuit, if you get it from anybody with a replaceable system, absolutely ensure that this is fully inserted. I'd have to run outside and get it, but there's they have this little pizza cutter looking tool to push this in. They gave it to me in my package. So presumably they give one to everybody with the ring system. That is, I won't say a must-have, but very nice, very nice. Very nice that you get a lot of documentation and tools for the items they give you. Speaking of tools and items that they give you, they provide a small bag, essentially a bag worth of talcum powder that allows you to put talc on the inside of these seams and seals. I've done that. It is their quote is it adds an extra size or two to the suit, allows you to get into it and out of it a lot easier, and generally makes this a lot less grippy and a little bit more comfortable. So again, they give a lot of little extras that might cost them a couple pennies or whatnot on the dollar, but it shows appreciation and shows the care, and it's very useful to a diver. Speaking of these seals, these are very thick, heavy, nice urethane seals. Compared to certain other kinds of seals, this is the Primo option. This comes standard in the suit, by the way, but in a lot of other suits, urethane internal seams are generally pricier and better quality options. I'll show you why real quick. So back to the Chinese dirt cheap Drysuit. If you'll look at these seals, these are tape seals. What they do is they put a little bit of glue down and they put a very, 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 very thin piece of tape or neoprene on it, and it just glues it shut. The problem with tape seals is, as I've learned, is that if there's a leak along this seam, it's pretty much impossible. It's much harder to locate, and more importantly, it's very much more difficult to repair. You'd have to rip this seam off, you'd have to get your own seam, you'd have to put more seam down, and you'd have to cross your fingers that it fits and everything is perfect. And that's also a lot less durable. With any sort of abrasion on the inside, with tiny little strips of neoprene, it's going to come undone eventually. This stuff might come undone eventually, but unlike that, you can very easily locate leaks. And you can also, instead of all that process, you can take a little bit of Aqua Seal, put a little dab wherever you think the leak is. You're not going to hurt too much by putting a dab of Aqua Seal on these, from my experience and from what I've heard. Again, I am not claiming to be the most experienced Drysuit diver or the most experienced repair person of Drysuits, but that's just my take on it. So let's keep going. Comes with, by default, it comes with Apex auto release on the shoulder. On mine it came right here. Again, you can customize where this goes. You can customize if you want a wrist release. You can do all kinds of stuff. You'll have to check their website out. But this seems to, it's Apex. Feels like it's got good quality. I have not really touched this or the inflator nozzle, and they don't seem to leak at all. So the guys at Seaskin have tightened them up properly. So maybe you'll want to double check that, but I haven't had any issues with that. Let's go to the wrist seals. I got, again, with all the bells and whistles, I got the oval, I think it is SiTech wrist seal system. From what I've heard, the oval over the circular is the clear winner nowadays. I have not had any major dexterity issues or had this ring really be in the way so far. Again, N equals 2 or 3 days of diving, so your experience may vary, but I've had a good time with this already. It's given me so much. It's a better seal for me personally. I've got really, really small wrists, And so when I'm like grabbing rocks and stuff, this area tends to leak. On these seals, it's better. And if you've also got leaking wrist seals where, because of you, not the seal itself, you can get something called BioSeal. It's what I use, and pretty much minimizes that to near nothing. What's next? So one disappointment, I guess, it's not really a disappointment so much as a surprise. I got these massive, I got the biggest pockets they could get. They are zippable cargo pockets. These things are huge. I love the size of them, but one of the things that, I won't say it bugged me, but came as a surprise to me, was that my legs aren't that big. I'm a side mount diver, and I initially wanted these on the front, so you can have them on the front or on the sides. And I had them on the front. And literally a week or two before this thing was supposed to be shipped to me, I got both an email and a call from them telling me that they couldn't put them on the front of my thighs because my legs were too small. So, if you happen to be getting pockets that are any pockets from these guys other than the really weird simple one that they have, make sure that your thighs are big enough to put them on the front of those, or on the front if that's what you're doing. Typically side mount divers want these pockets on the front, but they kind of work reasonably well. I haven't put too much stuff in them when I've gone side mount diving. I do have a flashlight, a really small flashlight that has a push button rather than a magnetic switch, and that almost invariably has been turning on every time I have it in one of these pockets because the tanks will bounce against them. So that didn't quite go according to plan when I bought this Drysuit. As far as the size goes, as far as the quality goes, unlike a lot of other pockets I see, this is neoprene, meaning it stretches very well. These zippers, one of the things I want to note also, not that I'm really complaining too much about this, but on the website it shows that these zippers have a little cord with a little circle or little sphere that you can tug on. And what that allows you to do is if you're blind or in a weird spot, you can find that and pull this a lot easier. Mine did not come with that for whatever reason. For whatever reason, it didn't come with that. So maybe they forgot, maybe they didn't have any. I don't know. But the picture they have shows it. Mine didn't come with it. So your mileage may vary. I don't know. Yeah, so has a little internal thing right here. As an external thing, I'd really like to know what this external D-ring would be practically used for. If I don't think of a very good reason for this, I might actually trim this because it's just one more thing to get caught on. But as far as size on this guy, it doesn't. Another thing to note, not that, again, not a major thing, but it does not have like a line or anything that you can wrap around your lights and whatnot. Only the D-ring. So you'll have to figure that out yourself. Not a major challenge or anything, but what do you do? Now, another things, unlike, I'll show you in comparison to this one, but because this is neoprene and because this is so big, it tends to expand. There's nothing to hold this down like standard nylon bellow pockets. So this will need to be pushed in like this and held if you want to be absolutely trim. So yeah, I got two, one on each side. Obviously I got the red highlights on this, so you have to choose a color and it will go little strip on the side and then the main one. So if you choose your color, that's about the only area it shows up on, and then the pockets you can choose your color individually as well. So yep, the Pvalve, I got the Light Monkey standard tinkle valve that is uncompensated. So it's actually very small. I really like the size of it. It is incredibly small. Another thing I noticed is that they make their own little patch of neoprene around it with their own seal around it. That is helpful for a lot of reasons. I forgot to show you the comparison I was going to make to the other pockets, so here it is. Here's a cheap Chinese Drysuit where I bought some pockets off of Amazon. These are standard-ish looking nylon bellow pockets, and rip that up and see how it kind of just squashes against it naturally. It doesn't expand and whatnot. That's kind of nice. That's kind of nice. But this is a lot smaller. So this is only about an inch. Those go out about an inch and a half. And this has a lot of other fancy-ish options. Like, I don't know. But they're pretty small. Oh, and I'll show you with that Pvalve on there. I put my own, and what often happens, not often happens, but what happened with me was if you don't place it in a good spot, it will actually destroy the neoprene around it. So this being uncompressed neoprene, it's a little less dense and a little bit more fragile. So watch out. Anything else I can show you on this guy? I'm sure there's plenty. I'll show you the inside with the tinkle valve, the P valve right now. I didn't know this, but it does come with a really strong rubber hose that seems to go with all P valves. I wasn't aware of that, so I was a little bit worried that I might not get one and I have to order separate stuff for this to work. But pretty simple. A lot of people suggest getting the quick disconnect for P valve and your condom catheter or whatever you use. After getting it and after trying it in the water twice, I'm probably not going to do that. Why? Because it's very simple. I just pull the condom catheter off, hold this, keep it above the rest of it, swish a bit of water in your mouth and blow it out to kind of clean up this tube. It doesn't get much simpler than that. With quick disconnects and whatnot, I'd hate for this thing to get disconnected mid-dive or something. That kind of worries me a little bit. So, yeah, we'll see. But, oh, and another option I've got now that I'm looking on the inside of the thing. Another option they have is a little comfort patch for this. Some people might love those. I definitely love mine. Other than, only complaint I have is this tends to fall off very easily while I'm getting into the Drysuit, so I have to cover it up pretty well. Finally, one of the things I really wanted on the other Drysuit, so I got it on this Drysuit, was suspenders. I got suspenders on this guy, and I think I might have even gotten reinforced attachment points or something like that. Again, you can customize the crap out of these. I don't think I would have gotten these. If I had a choice to go back in time, I don't think I would have gotten these. The reason is that this is so well custom fit to me that if I put this on, this top part of it does not want to slide down. It's perfectly fit. It's flush against my body pretty well. It's very cozy and tight. Not tight to uncomfortably, but just a nice little hug right around the chest and hip area. It's not going to fall down as easily. So, in hindsight, I wouldn't have gotten this, and yeah, I really don't need it. In fact, I'll look into this, and I might actually take these off if I can in a non-destructive way. So, those cost maybe an extra like 10 or 20 or 30 bucks. So, again, it seems like a no-brainer when you're buying a $1,000 wetsuit or Drysuit. One thing I would strongly recommend to anybody getting this Drysuit from experience, you really have to look into what you're actually diving. I mean, if you're doing open water diving, maybe not so much. But if you're doing anything where you have to walk in your Drysuit in any way, I strongly suggest getting reinforced knee pads. This is supposedly Kevlar. I'm not saying I don't believe that, but it's not like... I'm not going to take a knife and test this, but the main purpose of this isn't like the Kevlar to prevent cutting, to me at least, so much as it adds a bit of extra padding, because I've fallen multiple times knee deep or chest deep in water and landed on not a sharp rock, but a rock with my knee while carrying 2 tanks. you do not want to screw up your knees. I haven't really felt a noticeable difference in flexibility in my knees while getting this, and they're fairly cheap. So almost, if I had to guess, almost everybody should be getting these. Just my humble opinion. Let's go down to these. I got neoprene socks. I think the neoprene socks come standard. To anybody looking to get the vulcanized rubber boots, I do not mean to judge without seeing what they have to offer, Seaskin personally. But from my personal experience, I would not recommend getting the vulcanized boots. They cost a tad bit extra. They look a bit cool. They might be better for more convenient as far as like, oh, I'm out of the water now, I can walk 100 feet, I would not recommend getting vulcanized boots, and here's why. So neoprene socks are very flexible. You can put these in all kinds of stuff. You can put these in rock boots. You can put these in, I personally put them in my standard, my wetsuit booties so far. I might change that up, but I just I cram my feet in there, and it still fits nice. It's a little bit more snug than if I was just wearing not wearing anything under it, but it's about perfect. About perfect. I'll wear a single layer of heavy socks, and it's not too snug. And that's the same size as what I'm fitted for, so works out well. But the main reason I would suggest not getting vulcanized rubber boots like these. And again, hard for me to judge without seeing what Seaskin has to offer, but somehow, by design, by materials, by everything else, I somehow doubt that theirs is tremendously better. But as you can see right there, right where the rubber meets the neoprene, these can leak. What do you do when your entire boot leaks? You know, you kind of have to go overkill, and it doesn't give you too many options. What if it leaks here? You have pretty much zero options. You have to replace the entire boot. Whereas neoprene sock, as far as any other neoprene goes, you put a dab or two of Aqua Seal on, maybe patch it on the inside. You're good for another couple of years, presumably. So that's why I wouldn't suggest going with vulcanized boots on there. That's why I went with the neoprene socks this time around. Yeah. I'm starting to run out of things to talk about. So, trying to look for anything else I can think of. Oh, here's something. So this replaceable neck seal setup, this ring system, be a little bit careful. My sizing might have been a smidge bit too small. Maybe I took the measurements a little bit small, and I think I took them to perfect size. But one of the things I've noticed is that when I'm wearing this and I've got anything heavy on my shoulders, there's a tendency for my shoulder straps to push these down. And this is pretty hard rubber, and that will kind of sort of, again, from 2-ish dives, that kind of pushes those into my shoulders, and it isn't super comfortable. It's not perfect. It's bearable, but it's not great. So what I might end up doing is I might get some neoprene or cut some neoprene from something else and try to make a ring or otherwise pad this. So just something to keep in mind. I'm not sure if this is a common issue with ring systems. So that's about all I can think of. Here's an apex. Yeah, both apex that. Yeah, I think I'm done. I'm probably going to cut the video. Might add a few more bits to it, but I can't think of too much else. So with that, that's it. Can't think of anything else.